4-foot piece was as long as I could get in the bender, so I actually had to make a little extendo here. So that's what I came up with in my home brake. So yeah, get that welded on. Hopefully I can weld it and grind it and get it all smoothed out there and trimmed up, and it'll be like one piece again. So moving on. This is probably overkill, but I decided to use my panel clamps to weld this extension on. Excuse me. And yeah, it's overkill. Should probably change the name of the channel to Overkill Garage. Huh? Anyway, so the way these work, you have to be able to get to the back side. A little square, like keystock piece that locks that in. And the idea, it gives you your ideal gap there for welding and filling. This one looks a little wide, but yeah, I think it moved when I flipped it over. But anyway, it gives you that gap, so when you weld it, you can grind it flush, and you'll still have a good, repair. And there we have it. Stayed pretty straight for the most part. Roll it outside, a little bit on the inside. Pretty wide gap there at the bottom, but I got some weld to go in there. So yeah, it turned out quite well. I put some primer on the inner structure here just to protect the bare steel, give it some life. Yeah, the top one's all welded on. You saw that earlier. Did a little more touch up back here. The bottom, my extension panel, I got some plug weld holes I drilled in here. And on the top, a plug weld there. And I primed the inside. So hopefully this will be the last time we'll see this before it's up onto there and ready to weld in. More later. Well, here it is, set in place. It's a little ugly down there. I put some sheet metal on the back of this. This stuff is so thin, I didn't think I could successfully butt weld that to that and do it all in a day, because it'd be a welding grinding marathon in that thing. So that's my plan. It's not probably not the right way of doing it, but it's the way I did it. Same thing with back here. I put a piece on the back side of this, so I had something to weld to. That's just rotten. Granted, this whole rocker should have probably been replaced, but you know what? It's been a long road just getting this far. I got a paint stick in there, try to get the gap right. I had to use the furniture clamp to get this tucked up high enough so that my spot welds, my plug weld holes would line up with my inner rocker flange back there. So anyway, get ready to fire up the welder and burn this thing on here. Okay, here's where we're at. Got this welded on. This thing filled in pretty good here. Plug weld on top, plug weld action on the bottom. Got it buttoned up in front. My door gap is a little bit, hang on a second, I'll shut the door for you. Door gap is not as great as I'd like it, but it's got a gap, so that's a win. And as far as being straight, it kind of follows the contour of the door pretty good. Not perfect. The door's got a little bit of a bow to it, from you know, the way the styling is, and of course the rocker's straight because it was bent in a sheet metal brake, so I had to tweak this out just a little bit to try to follow the contour a bit. So yeah, here's my front little end cap. Got that welded in. Yeah, not bad. Time for some filler.